Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about the easy detail brushes versus the Wheel Woolies. I made a video a while back, but I just thought I'd give you guys an update on which ones I've been using more, which ones I recommend. I'm not going to show any like how-to of me actually doing it. I literally only use these brushes in my videos. So if you just want to see, literally, I have plenty, like dozens and dozens of other videos of me using these specifically. So I'm just going to talk to you about the pros and cons, where I stand with these. And if you want to check these out, check the description box down below for those links. But I just want to kind of give you an update on which ones I recommend now based off of just the past few months. Okay, so with the Wheel Woolies, it comes with a set of 3. You have the large, medium, and then the small one. Now, pros with these is that they come in different sizes, obviously, as you can tell here. So depending on the wheel clearance, the size of the wheel, you can easily switch around and see which one fits best. A downside to them is that they're not all the same handle length. So like if this is the only one that can clear the wheel, but it's a rather wide wheel, then you're gonna literally have to stick your hand between the spokes to get the entire wheel inside the wheel, because it simply doesn't reach all the way because of the handle, as opposed to this one. This is the longest wheel handle, and these are much shorter. So if and this is rather big, so a lot of times this doesn't fit simply due because it's very fat, and it's hard to squeeze it in through, like if there's a tight clearance. So you can switch to these, but if these fit, then your dilemma is like now you gotta like squeeze your hand as much as you can and hold it with your fingers, because this won't reach that far. As opposed to the easy detail brushes, this one, they don't come in sets, I don't believe. You have to buy them individually. I think some do come bundled in. And the equivalent to this one is the Daytona Speedmaster, as far as I know. And I find myself using these way more than any of the Wheel Woolies. I forget the price. Again, I'll link them down below so you can see the price. But I highly recommend more the easy detail brushes for your engine cleaning, for wheels and fenders, and for exhaust tips, even if you need to use that for that. Simply due because it's much more flexible, right? If you need to get behind like some weird design or some weird spokes, you can easily bend these as needed to fit whatever type of profile wheel you're gonna work on. The bristles, I feel, are a lot better because they're a bit longer, and because they're also flexible, like you can squeeze them into tight spots, and because they're long, they're still able to reach a lot of the nooks and crannies or the surface area that the Wheel Woolies won't be able to get to. And lastly, like the handle part here, like this little thing here, just like this small little rubber piece to help to guard your hand. This part does help out a lot. That way you're not bashing your hands into the wheel face because you're trying to like get it all the way in. So funny enough, like this little piece of rubber here does help out a lot in protecting your hand, which is a big plus depending on how much or what you're working on. Another plus side is I use these as frequently as I do on the wheels. Maybe not as frequently, but I use these very frequently on engine cleanings as well, to get into, like, again, the tight spaces in the engine compartment when I'm cleaning the engine. I can say the same about the Wheel Woolies. I've never used the Wheel Woolies to clean an engine bay. It just seems much more efficient and much more practical for engines. I can also use this for the fenders, depending if it's like a very low vehicle, like let's say like an M3 or something. You can use these to get, if you can't use like a fender brush or another brush that you have, these can kind of fit in there, wedge in. The brushes will be able to flex to the sides, but also be able to stand out enough to still agitate it. So I'm just seeing myself using these way more than the Wheel Woolies. Honestly, I can't remember the last time like I used a Wheel Woolie set to do the entire wheel. It's mostly these two main brushes that I'm using for engines, for fenders, for sometimes exhaust tips to clean the inside of the exhaust tips, and for engine cleaning. Now, if that being said, these aren't like, the end-all be-all type for wheel brushes. Just like anything, after so much use, this is like my second or third set. These will start to flex, and either like it'll break off somewhere depending on how much pressure you're putting, right? Like if you, like, as you can see, there's a little bit of a curvature right here, right? It's kind of curving like this. So if you keep on cleaning it this way and you keep on putting pressure and pressure and pressure on this part, it'll eventually, like my last one, it broke at this point right here. Because I always held the brush the same way, in this exact manner. So I wouldn't like rotate it, that way it can even out. Like I always just kept on cleaning it like this, and I'd always be putting pressure right here, so after a while it just kind of snapped on me. Another time, sometimes, maybe this is just after so much abuse, which seems kind of perfectly fine. is that like this part, the little actual plastic rubber piece here, will kind of come loose and it'll just kind of spin in place. That happened like on my first set, which was like, I don't know how long ago. But they work great. They are durable, so which is why I still recommend them. Again, I haven't used the Daytona Speedmaster ones, so don't know like what's the real difference in quality compared to these. But I can only assume they're somewhat the same. And the bristles here, they're not that stiff, but still enough to agitate. Again, on the Daytonas, I don't know how much more aggressive they are than these, but they definitely do the job when it comes to cleaning any tight areas. Now keep in mind that there are going to be some wheels that are so hammered with brake dust that have been kicked on for so long that regardless if you use these or like the Easy or the Wheel Woolies, like it's just not gonna clean off the wheel, just because the wheel itself is really baked in with the brake dust. So maybe you need a much more aggressive cleaner. Maybe you need to actually remove them. Maybe you need to use a much more stiffer brush. It really depends. So it's not always like it's just a brush, right? It's gonna be the brush, the condition of the wheel, the cleaner that you're using, and then definitely the weather that you're working in. If you're working in like dead hot sun and the wheels are a bit warm and it just, you know, and the sun's constantly beating on the wheels, then the product's gonna dry faster, meaning you're gonna be agitating the brush, but then because the product dried up, you're not really agitating anything. So as much as I praise them, they're definitely not like the thing that's gonna help you clean your wheels. These play a big part of it, but it's definitely not like the only thing that you need to be concerned about when it comes to cleaning your wheels or engine or anything else. Now, one thing I do sometimes with the Wheel Woolies is, so depending on the situation that I'm working in, on what's going on, sometimes if needed, I'll use a towel and I'll wrap it around the Wheel Woolie. And then I'll use, like, let's say I need to dry something or I need to like lightly touch something up. I'll wrap the towel around the Wheel Woolie and then just use this inside the wheel well to either clean or agitate anything that I need. This is on a real case-by-case basis. I don't do this too often, but when I do need to do something like this, I use this brush to wrap around the towel and then do whatever I need to do. You can do the same thing on the Easy Detail brush, but to me it just, you know, it makes more sense to use it on the Wheel Woolies. So that's definitely something that I do use it for. That I don't use it at all with the Easy Detail brushes, but again, it's definitely on that case-by-case basis. And to give you a specific example, it's like if I cleaned the wheel already and I already hosed it down, rinsed it, already dried it, and the vehicle's all dry, and maybe there's like a specific spot that I missed in the wheel well. So instead of like spraying APC, rinsing it down again, I'll spray some APC on here and then go in there with a towel and just agitate it like this, and then mop it up at the same time. That way I don't have to like rinse it down, drying off again, use the Metro Sidekick to blow all the water out of the nooks and crannies. So that's where I'll use it very specifically, but again, that doesn't happen too often. So that's my update. I definitely have not been using these much at all. These are primarily the only two sets of wheel brushes that I've really tested out and tried. I know there's so many others on the market. I just haven't tested those and don't plan on to. So maybe there's some cheaper, better ones. Maybe there's some more expensive ones that are just more expensive. But yes, I highly recommend the Easy Detail brushes, just because for everything that I mentioned. If you have any questions, comments about these brushes specifically, leave them in the comment section down below. Again, check those links if you want to check them out. Because I think there's plenty of companies that like label these or relabel them or private label them. But again, I use the Wheel Woolies and the Easy Detail brushes. Any comments, questions, feedback on this video, anything about this specifically that you want to know, let me know in the comment section down below.